Hi, I'm Abe. I'm the author of 3 software packages called Morlock, Rogue, and Rogo. They come bundled together, and in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to install them to macOS, Linux, and Windows. Let's start with the Morlock homepage. This is at morlock.sh. Here's the essential instructions you need to install Morlock, but let's go through it and let's take a look at Morlock on GitHub. So here's the Morlock repo. It's all open source. So what is Morlock? It is a multi-platform, decentralized, console-based package manager. So it's like Brew or Homebrew, if you've ever used that on Mac. Now, I love Homebrew. I'm not trying to compete with it, but there are a couple of areas where Homebrew didn't satisfy my needs. So I created Morlock as to fill that niche. So the 2 goals of Morlock are to support, number 1, to support all 3 major platforms, Mac, Linux, and Windows. And then number 2, to allow anyone to install packages via Morlock without having them centrally registered in some way. So with Brew, there's a central repository, and I believe you basically need permission to have your package be distributable via Brew. And there's other ways you can do it with casks. You can distribute things on your own using casks, but then it doesn't work on all 3 platforms. All right. So towards the bottom are the different Morlock commands. I'll show you some of them later. Let's take a look at the Rogue repository. Rogue is an ergonomic, object-oriented, high-level language that compiles to pure C. So, Rogue, yes, it's a high-level language with capabilities similar to Java or C#. It has a different type of syntax, but many of the same concepts. And it really is full-featured. It supports, for instance, introspection, aka reflection. It supports templates, supports tuples, it supports exceptions, and C doesn't support exceptions except by a mechanism called setJump, which is pretty slow if you are trying to use it over and over. And so Rogue builds its own exception system on top of C, which is much faster than the setJump approach. And just some general notes there. And then all the existing documentation is on the wiki page of the repo. So right now that documentation is a full comprehensive index of all the commands that Rogue has, all the syntax. And I'll be adding to this wiki, and I'll also be creating additional programming videos with instructions like tutorials and guides on programming in Rogue. All right, and then finally, let's look at the 3rd software package, Rogo. Rogo is an imperative build system. So when I was first creating the language that became Rogue, I was having difficulty compiling things on all 3 different platforms. I was using Ant at the time, and I was needing to hook together with some like graphics libraries and things. And I just couldn't get it to work couldn't get a build system that would do everything I needed on Windows, Mac, and Linux. And part of the problem is that all the existing build systems are declarative. So they're all based on a certain set of rules that you write, and then those rules just imply that certain things are going to happen, and then the build system takes care of handling those things. But if you're wanting to do something that hasn't been built into the build system, then it becomes difficult or in some cases impossible. So Rogo is a build system where you just program your own, you program your build steps as what you might call normal, a normal sequence of instructions. So just do this, do that, check and see if I'm on Windows or not. And so there's some notes on how to use Rogo here. And I'll show you a little bit in this video as well. Okay, let's go back to the Morlock homepage. And so installing Morlock is written in Rogue, and it's designed to work with Rogue projects, which use the Rogo build system. So installing Morlock installs all three things at once. They're all part of the core install: Morlock, Rogue, and Rogo. Okay, so let's install this on macOS. I'm going to copy that install command. I'm going to bring up my macOS prompt and just paste it and run it. Okay, needs my sudo password one time to install this, to create this Morlock home folder. All right, now what does it say? Homebrew must be installed. Execute the following to install Homebrew, or visit brew.sh. So here's the Homebrew installation command, and then we need to rerun the Morlock install command. Now I do actually have Homebrew installed already, and I don't want to reinstall it all, so I'll just, I just renamed the folder, so I'm going to name it back again. But if you don't have it already, you would need to install it. So let me rename it: sudo move /opt/homebrew with an underscore to homebrew without underscore. Okay, now let's run the install command again. Okay, now there's a new thing. Now we need to add the following folder to our system path: /opt/morlock/bin. You can execute this command to make the change. Okay, yeah, I'm running Z shell, and so this is going to make that change in my Z shell and source it so the changes take effect in this terminal. All right, I'm going to copy paste that. There we go. Now I'm going to restart the Morlock install command one final time. All right. So Morlock is installed. I can type Morlock, and there's the usage info. Rogue compiler is installed. There's all that. I can do rogue c-v to see the version. And Rogo's installed. It'll probably ask us for one more thing here. Let me see. Rogo. Okay, not yet. So it's just saying, yeah, there's no build file found. So let's do a little test with, let's test out Rogo. Let's test out Morlock first. So, no, let's test out Morlock first. This might serve two needs with one deed. Let's Morlock, install some package. And so the way it works is give a user ID, username on GitHub. So Abe probably is mine. You don't have to capitalize it correctly. Lowercase is fine. So I'm going to Morlock install, and like one handy tool that I made is called ls path. And so it's going to look in the repository ls path on the account for Abe Prawley. It's going to look for either a Rogue a Rogo install script, no, Morlock install script, or if that's not found, then if it's a Rogo based project, if there's a Rogo build file, then it'll build it automatically. Okay, well, I guess it all worked. And so ls path. I keep thinking there's one thing that Rogo is going to ask me to do, but maybe not. This wasn't the thing, but yeah, I'll allow access to all photos. I'm running this from my home folder, so it's wanting to ls path everything. Okay, there's a ton of files in here, so let me Control C on that. Let me go into like my projects, tools, Morlock folder. Now let me do ls path. So it just lists out the full path names of all the files in here. And so here's what's cool is you can do like ls path -n for a file name, a matching name. So something with the word rogue in it, lowercase, or case insensitive. So that shows me all my rogue files anywhere in this folder or subfolders. And there's other things you can do. So anyways, we just installed this piece of software, ls path, using Morlock. And yeah, that's good on that for now. Okay, but now let's test out Rogo. So I'll make a test folder of some kind, make directory test app, cd test app. I'll run Rogo, says there's nothing here, but let's use its options. Rogo -- create, and that would create a build file without any other framework. But I can do -- project equals some project name, such as test app, to create a skeleton for source code, rogue-based project skeleton. Okay, there's some stuff there. So let me do ls path. So here's what we got. We've got build folder, which is just for working intermediate results. And we've got build.rogue, that's the Rogo build file. And then in the source folder, we've got testapp.rogue. So let's look at source testapp.rogue. And here's some basically useful framework. There's a nice command line option parsing system in here. But I'm just going to delete all that. And I'll just say print line classic hello world. Now to build and run my test app with this default build framework and so on, just type Rogo. And there it goes, hello world. I could Rogo build to only build it, or Rogo run to only run it, what all can I do? I can type Rogo help, and that shows me the list of commands that I can run on this build file, using this build file. Well, let's see. Let me show you something a little bit about Rogo while we're at it. So let me edit build.rogue. And every command that you can run is a little routine, a rogue routine in here. And it uses introspection to sort of self-analyze and run these routines. So let me add, so here's the default routine. Let me add a routine that just does something else. Routine, yo, end routine. And then I'll just do something like print line, yo, yo. Now I'll run Rogo yo. No such command, yo. What did I mess up? Routine, oh, I didn't put the word Rogo in front. Rogo underscore yo. There we go. Rogo yo. Yo, yo. Let me do Rogo help. And here's yo listed, but it doesn't have any description of what it does. Let's fix that. Edit build.rogue. And I'll just add a header comment. Prints yo yo. Now Rogo help. Rogo yo prints yo yo. So one cool thing about Rogo is whether you're using it for your main project or not, maybe you've got Makefile or CMake or whatever, but just often there are lots of little sequences of commands that you need to do to perform maintenance on the folder, or do something like zip up all the files for a release, da-da-da. And so for any project, you could have a Rogo build file in it, and just whenever you need to do something like zip up a bunch of files in a folder, you could do, Rogo zip. You'd have to make the command, program out the command, but Rogo zip, and it would do whatever you want. All right, and let's just do a little bit more with the test program, the Hello World program. Source test app. Let's edit that. So let me just declare a couple of variables and print them out. Let's say x is 2, and let's say local variable y is pi. So you've got this global scope, and then you can define classes and get into the full object-oriented whenever you want. Anyhow, we're sort of in a global scope now. So 2 and pi, let me print those out. Print line dollar times dollar equals dollar. Now those would print out as literal dollar signs if I left it at that, but if I put some args with parens after a literal string, then I give values to fill in the dollar signs with. So let me fill in the dollar signs with x, y, and x times y. Save that, run it with Rogo. 2 times 3.1416 equals 6.2832. One of the really cool things about Rogue is, since it all compiles to C, there's a built-in mechanism for escaping into C, or in other words, inlining C code. So let me print out these same values in C using printf. So let me start a native block, and I could have a literal string like printf da-da-da. Then the quotes get a little weird fast. So there's another kind of string you can use called a verbatim string. Verbatim string is, it starts with an @ sign and a vertical bar, and then on successive lines, as long as you have a vertical bar, as long as it starts with a vertical bar, it continues the literal string, the verbatim string. And there's no standard escape characters in here like \n. Just any \n would print out or do whatever like as an actual \n. Anyhow, so what I want to, so this is how I usually write C code. So native to write some inline C and then a literal string, and this is the style of literal string I usually use. So I'll printf in C, we're doing this, and %d times %lf equals %lf \n, comma, and there is, in native blocks, there is a new kind of escape character. So $x pulls in the value of the expression, or the value of the variable x. So $x, $y for y, $x times $y. Don't forget the semicolon. Okay, it's just a single line. All right, let me right quit, Rogo to run it. And there we go. Same thing printing out in C. Okay, we're all set for Mac. Now let's look at, let's do the same thing on Linux. Let me go to grab the install link again, copy. Let me bring up my Linux on Parallels here. And paste the install command. Okay, need sudo password again. It's getting going. All right, now we need to do the path thing again. Okay, so I need to copy and paste this command to get the path right. Copy, paste. And then rerun the install. Okay, so compiling Rogue C on my Mac, on the Mac side, takes like 19 seconds. Takes a really long time here on my Parallels version of Linux. So I'll fast forward this in editing. All right, and then the rest will go pretty quickly. Rogo and Morlock. Okay, package config must be installed. Install it now. Yes. Alrighty, Rogue C-V. We're good. Now, since I'm on Parallels and I have these shared folders, let me just go into my same test app folder and Rogo to build and run. There's the test app here on Linux. Linux is all set. Let's do Windows. Windows, let me go back and get the Windows install command. And paste that. Okay, now we need to add this folder to our path. It gives the step-by-step instructions, but I'll just show you here. So I'm going to copy the path I need to add and go to Start, search for environment variables. Okay, there it is. Tiny print now. So environment variables towards the bottom. Then under user variables, I want to double click path and then add a new path or a new entry. Okay, 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 okay. And now note it says open a new developer command prompt and rerun the installer. So for that path change to take effect, we got to close this. And I wish I'd copied the install command. Let me go copy that again. All right. Notice for the Windows build, it does require a Visual Studio developer command prompt with C and C++ support. And then here's how. There's a link to the previous video I made on how to set that up. Okay. Still building. All right, Rogue C version. There we go. I'm still on the shared folders, so let's cd into test app. And Rogo. And just note, on all three platforms, the Rogue high-level language is getting compiled into C, and then the C is getting compiled into whatever the platform's executable format is. So it's quite fast, and there's no virtual machine or interpreter running, so we're getting just pure C code out of all this and pure executables, so to speak. All right, well, that's my demo on how to install Morlock, Rogue, and Rogo. More to come later. Have a good one. Bye.